Welcome to the Can Innovate podcast, the first ever podcast designed to showcase Canadian thought leadership. These innovators share industry insights, entrepreneurial best practices, lessons learned, and other tips that we can incorporate right into our lives, our careers, and our businesses. So let's get inspired. Hey, innovators, 2018 is coming to an end. I can't believe the year's actually already gone by so quickly. I kind of feel like I was actually just planning for 2018, but ta-da, here it is. It has come to an end. So I actually wanted to take some time to kind of share some of my adventures and my misadventures this year. It's kind of been a whirlwind of lessons learned, lots of trials and errors, and lots of errors, and some victories, and lots of laughter. So in this episode, I'm going to share a new health discovery about myself, my 2018 adventures and lessons learned. Trust me, there are tons. About discovering my own voice, the joys of pivoting, 2018 goals, did I actually make them? And plus, I share my 3 biggest goals for 2019. So let me get started. Now, first, 2018 has been an incredible year for me. I seriously cannot believe how much I've learned and grown. And how many times I've had to learn to be gentle with myself. I know. As an entrepreneur, we all know that time is always a challenge and there's never a shortage of things to do. And honestly, just like anybody else, I think we all forget to take some breaks. Like real, fun, social breaks. So I am substituting my corporate workaholic behavior for another kind, which was definitely not the intent. In fact, as you know, I've been battling an autoimmune condition, so I went to an offbeat innovative hormone specialist to find out a bit more about this condition. Because honestly, I get no answers from real doctors. So I'm like, okay, so let me go and find some other people that are doing some really cool things out there in the industry, in the healthcare. So this woman is phenomenal. She did a bunch of different tests and all these different types of, blood work and you name it, I had to do it. And honestly, the results actually made me laugh, cry, and pause for some reflections. Yep, it was about my cortisol levels. They were super, super high. Cortisol is the stress trigger, so I have been internalizing a lot of stress. Do you guys remember that book way back when where it says, don't sweat the small stuff? Well, we may not need to sweat the small stuff, but we definitely need to deal with those things and not ignore them. We can ignore those, one-off things because they're so small, but we can't ignore those trends of small issues that actually grow to become medium or large ones. So I've had to make some pretty big changes in my life. So 1, I've actually only started to plan to do 3 key things a day. 3 outcomes. What are the different goals I'm going to achieve that day? I'm not putting a list of 5 or 10 because honestly, 3 is where I kind of max out. So I tend to have 2 work ones and 1 personal one. So many of the projects I'm working on are pretty big ones, so I had to break them into smaller chunks to make them a little bit more manageable and actually have a realistic duration of things. I have this sense of urgency that I like to get stuff done, which is great. However, I have to also make some breathing room to do other things in my own life. So I've actually started to plan to have more fun items over the weekend. I've even put together a list of some of my really close friends and family that I absolutely adore, and I want to make sure I'm spending time with them, and I've made lots of plans to see them, whether we're, just meeting up for a coffee or a dinner or doing something really cool in the city. In fact, I think a lot of you know that I'm a huge MasterChef fan. Well, 2 weeks ago, thanks to my Googling and advanced planning, I got to go and have dinner that was prepared by MasterChef Canada judge Alvin Long and MasterChef Canada first winner Eric Chong, and they prepared us a huge meal. It was like a tasting menu, and it was amazing. So I'm enjoying really planning some social activities and making that time happen. Now, sleep. That's another one of those areas that I've had to kind of really focus on. And now what I've been trying to do is I actually turn off my electronics by at least 10 p.m. at night, and I don't look at it in the morning. It's really been a big difference in my sleep because usually I would wake up in the middle of the night to see what have I missed. Is there anything urgent going on? And it was honestly, it would definitely interrupt my sleep. So I ended up getting a Google little mini home for my birthday in June. And so now I use that to set the alarm. And when I wake up and I want to listen to the news or some music, I actually just say, hey, Google, and it has made a real big difference. So I can sleep better and knowing that there's an alarm to wake me up. Okay, 2018, the adventures and misadventures. Now, in 2017, I actually had said there was 3 goals I was going to do for 2018. The first one was I was going to rebrand Can Innovate. So I had dropped the H, so it was just Can Innovate, no extra H at the end. I was trying to be clever, but we knew it didn't resonate, and honestly, it was kind of creating some confusion. So this year we ended up rebranding that, kind of cleaning it up, and more importantly, we even developed a much more richer website. Hopefully you guys get a chance to take a look at it because there's tons of content there and you can really enjoy it. The second goal that I had was I was going to develop an online course, taking the corporate world and management consulting best practices and unleashing it and unboxing it for others to benefit from. From the days from Accenture to Amdocs Consulting, there's a lot of best practices out there. Well, I have to admit, I kind of got a little sidetracked when I got asked to teach at George Brown College Intro to Management Consulting. So I ended up teaching many of the topics that I was going to actually share with everyone, but I ended up teaching it in class as opposed to getting it ready as content for everyone else to enjoy. But that's okay, because now this means that all the different topics, I have the materials done and ready to go for it, because it was done and ready and delivered to the students, and they actually were able to ask more questions about things. I've added more stuff to it based on their feedback of things that they weren't clear about. So it was really, really amazing. So I may have been delayed in this goal, but I actually have decided that I'm going to do a free webinar in January 2019 where we are going to talk about the top 3 mistakes that people make when it comes to sales proposals. So we're going to start there, and then we'll go into the delivery and execution and account management, and there's just so much stuff. So I'm just thinking ahead. I'll put the link in the show notes. You can easily register, completely free. It is something that I had to promise myself I was going to do in 2018. But so if I can get the registration up, then it means I technically sort of made it in 2018. I'll just deliver it in January 2019. The third goal that I wanted was I wanted to give back. I love volunteering and helping others. And in fact, teaching at George Brown has really reminded me how much I love teaching and coaching others. So I actually had done some research, in 2018 on a couple of different organizations. Now, to be honest, some of these places that I looked at, they may have the same value drivers, but it wasn't very clear to me of how much was actually being given overseas to charity versus administrative fees. I don't know about you, but I kind of like a little bit of transparency. So I ended up meeting an old colleague of mine, and he started a charity which he actually helps underprivileged children and giving them access to education and healthcare. And he's a great man with a lot of great values, and he's done it because he has daughters and he really wants to create something that they can be a part of and really proud of. So, and being that, I actually truly believe that education and awareness is instrumental in overcoming any obstacle and perception challenges, it might be a really great organization that I partner with. So stay tuned for that. Now, here are some big lessons that I have learned. And maybe you guys could resonate with this, but I honestly didn't think I would actually fall into some of these traps. The first one is I had to make some staff changes. I really wish I had done it earlier. In fact, if you remember Elaine Gorbeau from Farm Lead in episode 19, he talked about this as a lesson learned and a best practice. He had given some really great advice. He had said about how it's really taking the time to learn to have that discipline or to be able to realize faster that you're in one of those situations and you pull yourself back when you're tempted to either hire someone that isn't exactly right, or you make the excuse for someone that just isn't fitting in for some reason. Oh boy, I did not do this properly. I didn't trust my instincts. I kept thinking that I haven't coached them enough, I haven't spent enough time with them, or I wasn't clear enough. In fact, I took all the blame. Not anymore. I need to trust my instincts. I need people that can help drive things forward with minimal supervision. That's what I need in order to be successful. I have hired experienced people, so I need them to step up to the plate and really be the experts for their areas. And in fact, almost be like the CEO in their own domain. So that was really a big aha moment that I really wish I had trusted my instinct sooner to kind of actually, replace them, or not just hire someone just for the wrong reasons. Hire them because they were the right fit and take the time to do the due diligence, because the cleanup afterwards is a lot of work. So now I've got my dream team in place and I think we're ready to really rock and roll. The second lesson that I've learned is that I need to stop over planning things and get faster into execution mode. It's really crazy because when I used to work in the big corporations, I was always in execution mode, just getting stuff done, getting around the bottlenecks. Let's go. However, because this is my own business that I'm building, I've realized that I just want everything to be perfect. Like, I don't know, I just can't help it. I love what I do and I just want it to be perfect and look pretty and do all those things. I guess it's just because I'm passionate about what I do. However, I do recognize that the time is very precious and it's a really big precious commodity. And there are places I can go to get things and done or additional support or perfected it to the way I wanted to get to, but I should be able to get things done a little bit more faster. So I've decided I'm going to have to switch into 10% planning mode and 90% execution mode. That was my old mode, and honestly, I loved getting stuff done faster. It's just excites me when you kind of check off things off your to-do list and you're just making things happen. The last big lesson that I've learned is the value of pivoting. And this is something a lot of our innovators have shared on our podcast, is one of their things that they kind of listened, and this is one of their lessons that they had learned, is that there is a lot of value in pivoting really quickly and moving with the times. So I often forget, because this is my own business and my own podcast and my own stuff, that I can easily shift and make moves and changes whenever I want to. Actually, I don't have to ask anyone's permission, and it's really a kind of an interesting mindset to shift into. So I'm actually learning the value of pivoting, and it's actually quite fun. So as you know, in the middle of the year, we decided to pivot. Now, this is the management consultant in me. I do admit that these innovators keep sharing all these best practices, or there's lessons learned, or these amazing tips and tricks and all those things. But I actually wanted to actually deepen my knowledge and skill sets in some of these areas, because it's great to hear that this is what works, but then we need to learn how we can do it and how we can apply it. So we started offering masterclasses in these areas so we can gain those tactical skills. So we've had a couple of these masterclasses. So we had one about mindset with Ariel, which was amazing. So she really gives us tactical exercises to get that innovation mindset and get out of our own way. We had one about negotiations, episode 57, about how to negotiate, what you can negotiate. Fotini was amazing, and you'll love it. Then I did an episode about vulnerability, and that was episode 58, and I was talking about how vulnerability is really a new advantage, and it's really a lot more fun when we kind of realize being imperfect is pretty okay. And we have lots more of these types of topics coming. Now, it's really imperative that we have to stay on top of these industry trends. We have to update our skill set and not wait for our bosses to determine our career, or we have to wait for our career counselors to kind of give us the blessing. We need to take control of our own careers. So, that being said, I've learned that pivoting is a good thing, and hopefully I've convinced you that it's a good thing. I've actually decided to apply some of these lessons learned into 2019. In fact, I actually only planned for Q1 and Q2 for 2019. That way I can do a mid-year check to see what I need to shift, what is working well, what's not working well. And then I could be more open to that. And who knows where the future will take us. So that's what I've done. So I've decided that I'm going to plan for the first 6 months of 2019. So this is what is in store for the next 6 months. One, I think I've kind of mentioned on the podcast, but I'm not too sure. I've been actually working on a networking book. So my goal for the first 6 months in 2019 is to get my networking book published. It is seriously nearly done, and I really can't wait to share it. There's just so many other things I want to add to it. I want to kind of make sure it reads well, and I want to figure out the artwork. I want to add some cartoons because I do love some images. But this book has been truly inspired by my students at George Brown. This happened to be a repeating topic about networking. What do I do when I get a business card? How do I approach somebody? How do you open the door to conversations? I'm shy. What do I do? So I wanted to actually use that and honestly share those tips that we've been using all throughout the course, that they've been using, what's been resonating really well. And the idea and the premise is that it's not just about connecting and networking for just career development. It's more than that. I'm looking at it from a connection from an ecosystem. I'm looking at the technology definition of what a network really is. It actually is a bunch of connections to different things in an ecosystem. Now, think about our lives. Our lives have tons of different types of needs in there, whether we are looking to have career opportunities, that's one. Part of it could be that you're looking for new friends or maybe a new relationship. Ultimately, we need to learn how to connect with other people. And that's exactly what this book's about. And not just theoretical stuff. There's a lot of tactical tips and tricks that we have put in there because I wanted to make sure it's actionable. Because honestly, I don't want it to be one of those coffee table books that's pretty to look at and no one uses. I want it to be that you open up a chapter and go, yep, I could do that. Oh, that's a great idea. I can use that on a date. I can use that when I'm talking to this person. So I've got it all in there. So you could take a look at it. I can't wait to share it with you. The second big goal is that I am actually going to be conducting a free sales webinar, and even perhaps I might even do a few local workshops. I already got the materials developed from the course that I taught. So I'm just going right into execution mode. And you'll be able to find the link to register for the webinar in the show notes. It's all free. It's going to be there. So it's just that we're going to talk about the top mistakes that salespeople make. And my point here is that I'm going to start offering more of these things so that everyone can actually benefit a little bit more. Now, the third goal is I want to finalize that volunteer partnership, that we can actually start to make an impact on the world. You know, I always think about my nieces and nephew and what the world's going to look like in the future. And honestly, I can't see it and I get scared. And I do truly believe that education awareness is instrumental in overcoming any challenges and obstacles. So I keep thinking about it. If children started teaching their uneducated parents, then we actually have a hope for the future because they may change. And more importantly, that means the world will be a better place. So that's me in a nutshell. I really want to find something that really resonates and really has the same value system that I have. And so we could start to really provide opportunities for those that really just don't have this privilege that we have here. Okay, so that's it. I'm actually really pumped and excited about 2019. And with all these new twists and turns that I'm about to discover, my New Year's resolution is going to be that I'm going to continue to push the boundaries and I'm going to unleash my curiosity and I'm going to make a lot more mistakes. And you know what? I'll tell you all about my mistakes. But I'll tell you something, every time I try something new, a new opportunity/adventure presents itself. It's kind of crazy. Every time I do something, something else shows up. I had to learn to say no to some things and learn to say when to say yes to other things, but that's a different challenge that's ongoing. But I'm getting a lot better at it because I'm getting to understand the real value of time and my time, importantly. So I really wanted just to say thank you to each and every one of you for being part of my journey. I really can't wait to hear your feedback about what adventures you're going to take on in 2019. And I really wish everyone a very happy and healthy holiday season that is filled with lots of love, curiosity, and laughter. And really get some much needed rest and that. Get a lot of TLC too. Anyways, we'll talk soon. I can't wait for you to see the next episode that we have starting in January 2019. It's all about dating in the digital age. I know it's a little different, but it's about networking, connecting, and let's start our new year off in a positive light. Anyways, we'll talk soon. Cheers. Thanks for tuning in this week. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. And next week, I got another really fun episode. You'll be surprised at the topics we're going to cover. But anyways, in the meantime, you don't have to wait till next week to connect with us. You can connect with us always on all the different social media links. You can even send us a review. That's another great place to give feedback. And of course, our new newsletter that has tons of new golden nuggets and of course, discounts galore. Actually, our tools section of the website also have it. And please feel free to nominate another innovator out there. And I can't wait to talk to you next week.